Welcome to episode 8 of the Isuzu Ute A-League download. Look, boxing gloves here. I've just noted them. With it's a tribute to Robbie Stanton. And we all subscribe to that message. If the kids aren't doing well enough, just make sure someone punches them in the face. Because I think that's the only way we can get kids to do things these days. We'll get to it. Archie Thomas Sorensen, welcome.
Hey, Maxie, how are you?
Yeah, really good.
Great introduction.
Why not? Either of you just aren't quite performing. I don't think it's my job to try and get the best out of you in a sort of clever managerial way. I'm just going to chin you. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay.
Fair enough.
That's the only way I work.
It's a tough world out there. You've got to fight to stay alive.
Exactly. You've got to learn. My fighting record is played 0, 1-0, draw 0, lost 1. Bigger boys, Jesus Green swimming pool. I mean, I owe them. If I find them, I will, whatever Liam Neeson said, I will find you and I will kill you. All right, here are the results, if you missed them, from the weekend. Melbourne City smashed Brisbane Roar, not entirely unexpected, on Friday night. Another win for Auckland in the second Kiwi Classico, or whatever you want to call it. So they still have a 100% record. They have let in a goal, though, so the wheels are falling off. Newcastle Jets lost 1-0 at home to Adelaide, prompting the best moment of the weekend. And then a goalless draw between Western United and Macarthur. Western United probably should have won that one. A good win for victory over Perth Glory. And then fun in the rain. Central Coast 2, Sydney FC 1. So Central Coast season up and running. Where should we start? Should we start in Auckland again? We're going to do this every week. Another win for them. Well, I mean, what do we say now? I don't know what to say anymore.
You know what? I think we should just appreciate it. They're making history. Like it's they've beaten Preston Marconi's 38-year record. With their clean sheet. Obviously, Barbarouses ruined it at the end. But again, to keep that run going, it's not easy. It'll come down at some point. But up until this point, like, they're a great story, and I love the banter because. The attendance was 26,253, they announced. Mm-hmm. One more than the reverse Victor down in Wellington, just to drop it in there.
So we don't think that's a coincidence?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know what
just truth, someone at Auckland FC just ringing around going, can you just bring one more in? Bring one more. Yeah.
Just grab one more chair, we'll put it there.
Just some poor old duffer walking down the street, had no interest in going, just had to shove them in. Are they playing well? I mean, it's sort of solid, isn't it? I don't ever come away from a game thinking that they have annihilated that team. And I have with other sides, you do with victory sometimes.
Yeah, well, there was always a big hype leading into this game and being a derby, but I don't think it really lived up to the hype of the football. I thought the football was a little bit, a bit off, and that sometimes happens in derbies. I think we all have this expectation of the first game, and it's going to be exciting. But Auckland won. They're just so good defensively. I think with Daniel Hoare, Pinecker, and Paulson, those three are just excellent in the positioning they have. Like the two centre halves just know exactly where players are, how to read the game. They're so defensively well structured. Then Paulson, I mean, this kid's just amazing. He's like a rock in that goal.
And I like the way he put his body around. Right? He came for crosses. He got a few knocks, but yeah, it's all about presence. And I think you can just see his confidence growing because again it was a big step to move to the rival club, and he got a lot of stick, and the fans were on the back of it. But he stood up, and he was there to be counted, and he put in a great performance. And I think that energy is what Auckland has. Yeah, we can discuss if they're dominant or not, but again, Sakai bombing on, and similar to the goal the first goal they ever scored, where Van der Sar put it into his own net. Same great ball into a difficult area where defenders, can't really.
Do you think he should go for it?
You know what? Like, I was again looking at it. It's so tough because he smashes it hard, and the defender. I'm not going to blame him. I think he's trying to do his best, and from that, 5, not 10 yards, maybe even less.
I don't know. I'd take the silver spoon out of his mouth and punch him in the face.
It's annoying, but I don't think we can blame him. But again, the second goal, I thought Wellington made a mistake by actually defending so deep from the free kick because it was quite high up the pitch, and yeah, you can question. A lot of people say, the keeper should have come, but as a keeper, when you got 5 or 6 defenders plus strikers dropping that early, that deep, it just condenses your space. Whereas a keeper, I would love them to be at the edge of the box. And Peinecker obviously gets up and scores. And
But isn't it the keeper's job to
Depends
stop condensing my
it
space?
depends, you know, it
guys?
depends on what is discussed beforehand. But I always took charge. I think as a goalkeeper, you should always do, because you want a lot of space to come into and attack the ball. And even, you know, you want them to drop to the penalty spot and head from there, you know, not head them inside the 6-yard box. So I think they made a mistake, and obviously 2-0, it was difficult to come back, but Barbarousse is, you know, again, on the score sheet.
And, you know, with Peinecker in that finish with that big free kick. And also, too, you look at the Wellington defenders. You had the two smallest guys defending a back post and a big striker. I mean, big defender. Well, striker, he's got 2 goals now. But I will say, I really am so impressed with this Daniel Hall. I mean, you have to look at where he's come from, and because at Central Coast, he was really on the outer. When they look at the centre pairing that they had, they tried him out in the wing areas defensively, and he couldn't seem to cement a spot. A player goes overseas, and all of a sudden he's linked up with Caltech, and that partnership was just brilliant. And now he's gone to another level. I'd be looking at him if I was Tony Popovich and looking at what this kid's capable of. I think he's capable of a lot of things. You see the way that he reads the game, he marshals, he actually, when he gets the ball, he's comfortable, he drives into the space, which I love from a defender, because it already attracts the pressing team, and then that opens up other players. I just think he's an exciting player. He's got Fijian heritage, so I'd be looking to snap him up pretty quick if I was a Socceroo coach.
I kind of expected after Wellington scored that there'd be an onslaught. And actually, there wasn't. Auckland looked more likely to score another, actually, in the last 10 minutes. Would that be a disappointment if you're a Wellington fan?
Yeah, you know, again, you just look for that change of momentum, and they got the goal. But again, I think that, again, shows the quality of Auckland and their spirit, and they don't get rolled over and suddenly, you know, will be on the back foot. I thought they just kept going, and you know, again, I think it's credit to the management and everything else, how they got them organised. And also the players. Was it Moreno who came on and had a great shot at the end, good save from Adewayumi, and so, you know, they kept going.
I made a bit of an Auckland mistake this week, chaps.
Okay.
Because look, I'm not a fan of the new Club World Cup. I think there might be too much football. I think this, you know, Inter Miami have qualified when they, you know, for no reason apart from Lionel Messi plays them. I don't necessarily think Infantino is the greatest person to be running the whole of the game. But when I saw that Auckland had qualified for the Club World Cup.
You had a bit of a spat on our
well, I put it on social media as well. I was like, listen, I mean, I don't think the competition is great, but Auckland had never played a game, and now they're in this competition. And a few people got in touch to say, different Auckland. I'm like, who is this? So this is a semi-pro team in Auckland, because obviously Australia are in the Asian Confederation, so there has to be a team from Oceania. So Auckland FC, Auckland City FC rather, let's get this right, they are playing in the Club World Cup. I mean, they play Bayern Munich, aren't they? They got Bayern Munich. I mean,
what a great opportunity. Hopefully they can generate some money to the... hopefully Infantino will give them some money so that can go back into the game in New Zealand. But
it'll be a nice trip for them.
Who knows?
I don't know what's the point, but yes. My apologies. We all make mistakes. So, you know, I know. Anyway, let's go to Central Coast. Big win for them. Season sort of underway. I like the weather. Archie, this was a fun game. Obviously, the red card makes a big difference in this game.
Yeah, and it's massive. And I felt sorry for the young goalkeeper. It's his first start.
And not that young.
Not 28.
Oh, is he 28?
Yeah.
I mean, that feels young.
Yeah, he was young.
He was young in
looks
A-League
young.
terms.
Yeah.
You know, it was his debut. So
Harrison Devonish Mears.
Okay, well, there you go. He's old. Well, he shouldn't be making that mistake. But I will say that the ball that was played in behind, you would have thought as a goalkeeper or any player that would skid on, and you kind of read that well. But then on second glance, it actually sort of didn't bounce on, and he was caught in two minds. He makes a bad decision. But that's been the third red card for Sydney FC this season. I wonder if there's just sometimes a little bit of lapses in concentration that it really puts them on the back foot of games, especially when it's not needed. I look at, I think it was Matthews for the red card that he got against MacArthur.
Rash as well.
Rash, and then Max Burgess didn't need to do something in Western Sydney. So I know that you walk a very fine line, but if it's going to affect your game, for that 90 minutes, which it seems to have had against MacArthur, Central Coast, and but really tough conditions to play. But for Central Coast, we saw this time last year, and I know we keep referring back to it. They didn't have any points. They won a derby, and then the F3 derby, and then all of a sudden they go on a great run. It's almost a replica of last season, to be honest.
Yeah, and again, great to see Alacol getting, you know, after 16 games of not scoring, you know, it was, two good goals. Actually,
Very
the
good.
first header, like you're a striker, for him to actually nearly go behind himself and generate enough power to, you know, to beat Redmayne, I think was fantastic, and they needed it because up until the red card, I thought Sydney were like dominant.
And actually, even with it,
yeah,
it wasn't like Central
Douglas
Coast didn't run
Costa
away.
hit the post.
Yeah.
They had a couple of other chances. You know, so you know, again, a bit of luck, but sometimes you've got to take advantage of it. And Michael Docker, I thought he was great. That cross for the second goal, I think, was sublime. Or that little chip he sort of made into Qual. You know, so you know, again, I think they're moving in the right direction. You know, if they can get, you know, a little bit more consistency and you know, I think, you know, again, I think definitely get them in the playoffs.
I do like the mentality of Qual because, I mean, as a striker and watching the games and you know, have to talk a lot about them, there has been a lot of emphasis on him and not scoring many goals. I love his work rate. I love his determination to always try and hound and harass defenders, but we're just waiting for him to do something with the chances he get. And like you said, I thought that second goal, the header was amazing, to be able to generate that power, but also I liked his movement in the second one.
It's a lovely run.
Yeah, when he sort of checked and then the defender kind of goes and then he peels at the back, but an amazing ball. But again,
but also
great
the red
finish.
card. Like he was the player to force the red card. You know, the timing of the run. You know, so you know, overall, you know, it's difficult like as a young player because he has been in and out. Like, you know, he hasn't been starting every game. You know, he's been coming on. You know, that can ruin your confidence. And then on the back of that, you know, you haven't scored for a long time. So fair play to him.
And actually, to keep getting in the position and not hiding.
Yeah.
Does it help, Archie? And I don't know if this is how, because I sense with you, Archie, like every day is like a new day. It's like you've just been born. Right?
Is that
It's
not
like
for
this is a
everyone,
new
or is it just Archie?
I don't know. I'm just thinking for Archie, like, and actually that's a great centre forwards mentality. It's like, you know, you miss a chance, but it's okay because you can just sort of wipe your mind. It's meant as a compliment.
Yeah, no,
Do you know
I'm
what I
taking
mean?
it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No, you have to. I think being a striker, you need to try and quickly forget about a opportunity or a chance that you've just missed. And a really good quote, I don't know if he made it up, but Ernie Merrick, old manager of Melbourne Victory, used to always say, and he used to always call it the crap gap.
Right.
It's like, so the crap gap is when you make a mistake, how long will it take before you actually try and, how long you stay in that moment of like,
Right.
oh, damn, I should have maybe done this, I should have done that. Or how can I affect the next play? Whether it be, can I close a man down or can I, just to try to forget the crap that's just happened and just to really shorten it down.
Crap gap.
The
Love
crap
it.
gap.
Love it.
And so I think that's what I kind of learned is like, okay, as much as it burns you because you don't want to miss a really good chance, it's how long you stay in that crap gap that helps you move forward.
Do you think this show is in the crap? We're not in a crap gap, but if we are, the key is like you've got to get back in that position again.
Yeah.
Your next word has to be you're just thinking in your mind, I've just got to get out of the
Yes.
crap gap.
So,
You know?
so I've had a lot of practice. I feel like I practice a lot on the crap gap. So I'm definitely shorting
You
it.
know, as a goalkeeper, you go to the crap gap a fair few times as well. Like you just got to move on.
That's hard though. I mean, it's genuinely a difficult thing, isn't it?
But we can sit there and laugh about it. But really, it's the key to be at the top level. You know, it is to forget those mistakes, learn from them, quickly move on. You know, not stay in that mindset for sure. You know, but like to actually put a word on it. Crap gap.
The
Wow.
crap gap.
Wow, that is it.
Let's go to Brisbane, who lost 4-1 to Melbourne City, and you know Scott Neville First minute, right in the crap gap.
You know what? Like, it's sort of, it baffles me sometimes that like teams that are not, naturally set up to play out. Like we'll see, like Newcastle made the same mistake. Schuster gave the ball away. And here you get Neville first minute, gets caught on the ball. It just baffles me sometimes that these mistakes happen. Like, first of all, you want to get into the game.
First 5, nothing silly.
Yeah, yes. and it's so lazy. Lack of concentration, and again, it sets the game up. Fair play, Andreas Kuhn. I think
had a great game.
Yeah. No, but the last couple of games, he started, I think, at Perth, and they had that great win. Because I was questioning him because he wasn't starting the first 3 or 4 games, but he's been immense. In this game, obviously setting up a couple of goals and scoring himself. So and again, Brisbane. They've only got 1 point from 6 games, the worst start they've ever had to an A-League season. So you got to question, what they're doing. They're letting in too many goals. They've got young talent, but in this game, Melbourne City could have scored. Like they hit the post. They had a couple of chances, Brisbane, but you couldn't really argue with the end result.
When you have 1 point from this many games, right? At what point? And obviously, this is a structural question about not having relegation. And obviously, this is a conversation that's happened so many times because most countries they have relegation. I understand why. It's just not that simple to say, oh, just find another 12 teams, and then don't worry, you're relegated. So you lose all the income that you get from playing in the A-League. But is it difficult then? Because at some point during a season, and maybe it's a bit early, if you're Brisbane or you're Perth now, you just go, well, we'll just write this one off. And actually, not in a sort of stupid way, but in a way of going, okay, these are young players. What do we do? Do we keep trying to play and say, look, don't worry about this season because it doesn't. If you finish, 12th or 7th, it doesn't really matter, right? Like if it's not going to happen, at what point do you go? Can we take a long-term view of this, or are the managers under serious pressure? At Perth and at Brisbane now.
Yeah, well, I will say if I compare Brisbane and Perth, Brisbane actually, their performances and the way they play deserve a lot more than what they've got. I will say that. On the other hand, you've got Perth that have just been really just not at the ballpark. I mean, they're just I don't see any real kind of structure. I don't see really anything. It's like get it to tag it and there's no one supporting him, and it's like it's trying to be a one-man show. I feel like with Brisbane, they actually look like they play really nice football. It's just a bit hot and cold in front of goals and letting way too much defensively.
But if that's the case, then you encourage Scott Neville to say, look, we want you to play, and maybe it won't work this season, but we've got a plan, or no?
But I think ultimately, it's all about finding a way to win. I get this bigger picture thing that, we've got to be seen to be playing football, but surely it's about playing winning football. And you got to tweak things that favors your personnel, that favors, yes, we want to develop young players. And again, I think, Brisbane, we talked about Waddingham plenty of times. Again, Jelicic, they've got players up front, Struik, who again is a young player who's come in, so they've got talent, but again, Statkovic has to look at getting some bloody results, because he is under pressure. Surely he is. He was obviously at Perth and with sort of mixed success there, and now he's here, and I know they haven't got the biggest budget in the league, but. I think they've got good enough players, as you say. They haven't been too bad, but again, they keep just knocking themselves over. I think, they have to try to find a solution.
And the thing is that, like, regardless of relegation, if we have it or not at this stage, as a manager, you're still under pressure. It doesn't matter. That doesn't stop you from the board or fans really kick up a stink and they're going to listen and go, well, we need to start making some serious changes. No one's like, I when I'm not on the show and I'm watching and I'm scared that I'm not going to have a gig here again.
Well,
so
Norm is good.
Performances.
Big up the Macedonians.
yeah. I mean,
You got to be on the edge of the seat.
Norm's got it nice and warm here. I can feel it. Good energy he's trying to push in here. But like, it's a results business, and as much, and it's really down to the board and how long they want to give them, and how much the managers can say, this is the top of football, just give me that bit of time. But we've seen it in football that sometimes that time just runs out.
But word on Jonathan Cohen, who's come in, and actually the first goal was quite a simple finish, but he's in the right place. The second goal is brilliant, right?
Yeah, again, they do extremely well. I think that was Kuhn as well, setting that up. And again, Brisbane doesn't shut it down. I think Kuhn should have been forced outside. And again, I think it was O'Neill that sort of went in halfway, allowed him to turn, and then he makes that late run that's so hard to pick up, and a great finish. And then the second one, again, Kuhn, great run through the middle of the park, and he managed to slip it out with the finish.
Oh, man.
The curled into the far corner. I'm starting to be a lot more positive about Melbourne City, because I was worried after watching them the first 2 or 3 games. And you see these players now, starting to gel and starting to grow in confidence. And it helps all the young players as well. So, Melbourne City, I feel, are definitely moving in the right direction. And those two have been a massive impact.
You mentioned the youngsters at Brisbane. Jacob Brissett, 18-year-old, dribbled, won that penalty. I mean, we're looking for... a tiny silver lining somewhere on this, Queensland cloud.
But, let's be honest, that's not what's going to, bring them the long-term success. Hopefully, at one point he'll grow up, but they got to find other solutions. But yeah, again, he's another young player, and we talk about it week in and week out. They're popping up, and which is great. I don't think it'll help Brisbane too much, but
good effort, Jacob. But unfortunately, Thomas Sorensen says
no,
wasn't worth it.
I think they've got bigger problems. Than.
Let's talk about Perth Glory. Then they lost to Melbourne Victory. I really enjoy watching actually, and Zinedine Mashesh. It's not quite Zidane, but it's a great goal, isn't it? And the creativity with him and Arzani. There was that nice set piece, which was quite sort of Thomas Brolin, Sweden '94.
That's again the Perth defending. Like how can you not pick up a player? You
didn't like that Swedish reference.
No, I know he didn't.
That's what I'm saying, I've put this down. Like, that's some Perth up. Like, they should have lost 8-0 in this one.
Yeah, you're right. It could have been 10.
But that moment,
yeah.
Asani just drops it to someone. He takes a touch, and they've got 8-10 players there to mark, and nobody picks them up. To me, that was baffling. But yeah, Melbourne Victory were amazing.
Yeah, just incredible. And how many times have we seen Mashash get that ball and just run at players? And but you can't let someone like him, if you're facing him as a defender, you can't keep dropping off, because you know that he's going to get a shot off, and we've seen it so many times. You need to try and make a challenge, or at least foul the player. I mean, Kanga and Barr, just let him come all the way back to the 18-yard box. And then all of a sudden, it's still a wonderful finish, and the skill that he shows to get that shot away. But, I mean, these sort of defensive things, they really have just struggled to really fix in any way, but doesn't take away from Melbourne Victory. They
look like the best team in this competition for me.
Very, very slick. I thought the two centre midfielders, Baladon and Teague, just are so good and make their young midfield engine. But the way they command that midfield is amazing. And I thought Adama Traore, first start, he comes on, he scores a great goal. They just have balance and backup all over the park. It's not the 11, it's the depth that they have too. So they're just an incredible team to watch.
Other than you say the depth they have, like Piscopo, Fonaroli, again they've got heaps of players, and Langerak to come in January. So they again, when they're on the form they are now, and if they can if BK can keep them at it, you see Asani. I think that's the best I've seen him for years. He looks, if he can just get a goal, that will just top it off. But other than that, they've got so many players playing at a high level.
And I usually look forward to a derby, Melbourne City, the Melbourne Victory, one coming up in, just before Christmas. But now I'm really excited, and I'm looking at, I don't know when the fixture is, Auckland versus Victory. I reckon that's going to be probably one of the early
Auckland
games.
got Melbourne City this weekend as well, so some big games.
But also, I'm looking forward to Perth-Brisbane. And that this 21st of December. Where's that?
So
in
you
Perth
want
or Brisbane?
so
where is
you
that?
want them to keep losing
Can
until
I
that
take
game
those
and then
gloves?
just put it on?
Take those gloves so I can knock myself out just before the kickoff.
No, but you never know, right?
Look, though, Brisbane do play a little. I don't know. I still love Adam Taggart. I think he's a great striker. Just probably in a team that's really underperforming big time. But Brisbane play great football. I probably wouldn't punch myself out. I'll give it 15
Actually,
minutes.
I think it's quite hard to punch yourself out. I reckon it'll be like...
I could find a way if it's perfect.
That Brisbane-Perth's in Brisbane, that game on the 21st. Auckland, Melbourne Victory is on the 1st of January. Perth Glory without a win in 17. So that is stretching back to round 18 of last season. If they fail to beat Newcastle Jets at home... we'll get onto them soon. Looking forward to that. They'll equal the club's longest ever winless run of 18 games, which was between December 06 and November 2007. And the only other thing of note is Jack White from the White Stripes was in attendance. Seven Nation Army's Victory's goal song. Was that why he was there? Did we know why he was there?
They got him in just for that.
To play live. You don't know what he does every time they score.
The A-League pulling some
I know.
strings. I love it.
No, but he actually, every time Victory have scored, he's been there live, just doing an acoustic Seven Nation Army. But like, I know people get obsessed with celebrity. I don't quite understand it, but who cares, right? Like, it's like whenever Man City are playing and they just cut to Noel Gallagher. We all know he's a Man City fan. Or at Tottenham, Michael McIntyre's that great. I don't care. People go to watch football. We know that. Famous people like football too. Okay.
If there was one person you could pick, though, that you'd be excited, and there's a game that could swing to, who would it be?
Well, what I want it to be unexpected. So Jack White, I kind of take that. I wasn't expecting him to be there, right? So that is more interesting to me. If I see, this is a good question now. I'm trying to think. Who could I see? If I saw Madge Bishop, right? Yeah, at a Stevenage game, right, in League One, I'd be like, that. I wasn't expecting Anne Charleston to be at Stevenage, right? Then I'm interested. But if it's just Noel Gallagher at Man City, don't care. Right, Newcastle Jets 0, Adelaide 1. More action off the pitch than on it really after the game. There was this altercation right at the end, right? Two Newcastle players, Eli Adams and Wellersol. Wellersol doesn't track back. Adams has a pop at him. After the game, Adams is on the floor, like shirt over his head. He's upset. Robbie Stanton, post-match, said this.
You know what? I hope they have more altercations. I hope they start, letting each other know, because that's probably half the problem. They're too nice to each other. I hope they... I might bring some boxing gloves in and let them punch on, because you know what? They need it. They actually need it. I need to get some of the spoons out of them, our silver spoons, and teach them to, this is your opportunity. You need to fight for this club. You need to fight for the fans. That's a problem, mate. I'm sorry, it's a generational problem where we are right now, in my opinion. Like, they don't have to work. Sorry, I know you're young boys, but I'm just saying, it's the way you're brought up, mate. You need to look at the history of the way this country was built. It was built with these hands of people that came here. I said, you need to appreciate what they've done for you. When you walk on the pitch, the fans see that. They see when you fight. They will clap you when you fight. They will boo you when you don't fight. They were booing, and rightly so. Rightly so. Let me tell you, boxing gloves is not a bad idea.
Look at these hands. The hands that built Australia. Like, I don't want to get into the complexities of the history of Australia, but I'm not sure it was Robbie Stanton whose hands built this country. Okay, look, I have strong thoughts on this, but carry on. What do you think, gentlemen?
No, in some way, I think he's spot on in the bigger picture of things. I think there is a generational shift from like our generation.
I'm laughing, but I carry on.
No. But I experienced that. At the end of my career, that there is a more egoistic mindset from some of the young players. A little bit more of an entitlement, and I think that you always fight for the badge. You're in it for. Also for the fans and everything. I think it has weakened a fair bit, and so I agree, the bigger picture of things, but like the actual moment in the game, that happens every week. Like somebody, losing the ball, maybe not like half-heartedly chasing back at the end of the game, and the frustration comes out, and you give it a bit of a spray. Is there a bigger issue at Newcastle, or that we don't know? If he sees things creeping into the squad where people are doing it half-heartedly or something like that, and he wants to send a message, that's maybe something about it. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a tough world, and you got to fight for every opportunity you get.
Yeah, I understand Robbie Stanton's obviously frustrated with his team performance, and probably harshly said, I would say. But like you said, it's those things do happen in the game. But I always questioned the leadership in that Newcastle side before the season even started. I look at that field and I watch the players. There's no one that leads in that team. There's no one. So frustration is going to pop out. I feel sorry for Eli Adams because I thought that was it he that had a go at Willisol for not getting back? Yeah. Well, I mean, Willisol, you know how I feel about that guy. His Uber rating is dropping week by week. I don't know where they got this boy from, to be honest.
But I looked at his resume. He hasn't played at like any top clubs anywhere. But
can I provide a counter argument, which is
come on.
Sorry, Willisol. I'm frustrated.
My counter argument is just it's the same cliche-ridden bullshit that every older generation says, going, "Oh, the kids, the kids have it so easy. You don't know what it was like in my day. It was tough in my day. Now you just walk in." Like, these are elite sportsmen, right? Okay, they might not be showing great leadership, but like, whose job is it to get the best out of them? Whose job is it? And there's a hard thing with, society changes. And it's different being a kid now. There's different pressures when you're a kid now to when you guys were kids, social media, whatever it is. And there's a problem for older managers. I don't know how old Robbie Stanton is, but they have to learn how to communicate to younger people, right? The big art of management is getting the best out of people. And just saying, I just think they should punch each other in the face. Look at my hands. Australia was built on the. It's just sort of cliched nonsense. And I don't think he should do it in public, because I don't think if he's not getting through to his players, I don't think that'll get through to his players. And I think you just have to, your job as a manager is to get the best out of your team and to encourage leadership. And it does change, and it's different being 20 now to when we were 20, and some bits are easier and some bits are harder. I just thought it was just like, I just think I've heard I suspect, every generation just go, like when you were kids coming into the team, I bet the older players were like, they've never had it so easy. What with their Walkmans? Yeah. Look at them with their cassette tapes and Game Boys.
No, I thought it was the opposite when I came in. I actually thought that like the older generation was more like we've earned, like everything was put on us. Like we had to do the hard yards, so we weren't given anything easy. So I get where you're coming from. Yeah. I get there has been a change, but it doesn't take anything away from. You still need hard work. You still need attitude, and I definitely think that maybe it's harder now to get that out of people because there's so many things going on, and it is becoming a self-centered, world. I think, and the idea of actually buying in.
Yeah, but the key then is how do you get the best out of people?
Of course. Yeah, maybe it isn't a punch up, but I quite like it punch up from time to time, but not. But as an everyday occurrence.
If you took the Newcastle squad and put them on SAS, uncovered or whatever, and said, climb a mountain,
I'm sure they'll learn something.
Have someone put a bag on your head at 2 a.m. and then take you to a darkened room and say, cry in front of me. Maybe it would help. I don't know. Like, bonding is an important part of the squad, right? And I don't know if you had managers who took you on weird pre-season stuff to, and chuck your phones away and all that stuff. I understand that. I just think it's really oversimplifying actually something that's a bit more complex.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying about the youngsters coming. There are definitely a lot of different pressures of what it was probably for us not even football-wise. I mean, it's just life in general. It's a little different out in the world now, where their kids are exposed to so much. So it's going to be difficult. But I wonder if what's a culture like within in that team. Like I look at teams of past of cultures in especially at Newcastle Jets, always very, very strong, strong-minded, great leaders. But that's having experienced players, and I just feel like that there's just not a good balance of experience.
Surely both of you, when you were playing, and this goes for sort of any generation, right? And it's different, because in the 70s, what players could go and the Arsenal, or in the 80s, the Arsenal Tuesday Club, absolutely wasted on a Tuesday night, and and it's different now, right? That is definitely different. But surely, like any generation of any squad, any sport, men's or women's, there are some who are just so dedicated and so focused and get absolutely the most out of their talent, whatever that is. And there are some that don't. And that is just the nature of it. It's not a generational thing. It's just people are different.
Yeah, but I think now you're taking the Tuesday Club and whatever, but I think it's finding, and that's obviously players and managers, you got to find a way for people to care. And whatever that takes, and I think that people need to get to know each other. They need to find a reason to care.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the manager's fault or the manager's job. And, punch up might not be but again, I think anything that, and especially when you've got maybe a rudderless ship in some way, you got to find that, camaraderie and I think that is harder in today's world because there are so many distractions and so many things on these young people's minds. So, maybe it's not a simple solution, but
I do like the idea of his next pre-match going, morale in the camp is so much better. 7 of the first team are out with concussion. but what we all...
Maybe they should go out on a Tuesday and have a bit of a drink. Maybe that would help.
Just one Tuesday club, because I only noticed that we have these lovely pot plants here. Perry Groves, who was, played for Arsenal in that, won the league with them. Like when he joined and they had the Tuesday club and they'd go out drinking, and he stood next to a pot plant in the pub and he poured every drink in. And for weeks and weeks, the squad were like, this guy can hold his boots. And then I think Tony Adams stood between him and the pot plant 1 week, and it was and I was just totally finished. Well done, Adelaide, by the way. We didn't talk about you a lot in that game, did we? But, a good win for them on the road. Any strong thoughts on them?
No, but unbeaten. Again, we talk about Auckland, but they haven't lost yet. Again, efficient. I think they got away with one early on, hitting the bar. I think it was Lucky Rose, starting, and he should have scored. So they got away with it, but great taking goal. I think they're just slowly and steadily going about their business, and it was just a good solid win.
And it was really tough conditions too. You could see that.
And with 10 men.
Yeah, 10 men.
For
What did you think about that red card?
Again, it's soft. It's not a massive, but he still sort of lashes out. He tries to sort of grab him. And I think, again, when you got VAR and you got this,
it's a letter of the law thing.
It's a red card. It is a scuffle, but you can't do that.
It was a bit NRL-y for me. A bit sort of wriggling around on the floor. We don't need that, do we? It's a silly game, isn't it? Anyway, Western United 0, MacArthur 0. There are good 0-0s and there are bad 0-0s, and I thought this was a kind of okay 0-0. And I think, actually, Archie, Western United would be kicking themselves.
Well, they peppered that MacArthur goal. And they played the conditions really well. I mean, that was another match you're watching, and the ball, it just seemed never to stop. When you're going, I think it was to the left-hand side, if you watch on the screen, you're going with the wind. It was always difficult. But
it's like one of those snooker tables you had as a kid. You put everything goes into that pocket. Yeah.
But I just thought that the response from Western United, especially after I think Johnny Aloisi's scathing of them, especially their first half performance against Melbourne Victory, was really, really good. Especially with the young team that they have, they dominated this game. They were put MacArthur on the back foot pretty much the whole game. I thought they were outstanding and really, really unlucky not to win this game.
Yeah, again, some of the young players, Walati and Dansaki, the two wingers, I thought were brilliant. Ibasuki should have scored. He had that cut back in the first half. Matt Sutton, they only had one chance from distance, but a great save actually from Matt Sutton. So, it's just one of them where, they just ended up with too many shots from distance and a little bit of decision making. A few times where they got in the box and they lashed at it, where maybe they could have laid it off and had a better chance. But yeah, again, I think Aloisi, at least there you can see a team that's moving in the right direction as well as some of the young players. Bosinovsky, I think, had a shot. Still hasn't scored, but they again had plenty of chances.
Interesting shots from distance, right? Because actually, the more coaches realise it's not the best way. It's like statistically not a great way to score a goal. Yeah. But obviously all fans just want to see. Especially a fullback running on and just hammering the thing.
But it's a good old, we got the wind at our back. Like, now
Well, I was hoping that would happen because the way that wind was blowing.
They tried to make it happen.
They should have been, as soon as they got a chance, just open up. Sometimes I think teams, are as pretty as it is, over try to overplay things. I think, trying to get inside the 18-yard box with beautiful football. But when the wind is blowing like that, man, as soon as you
get over it.
Yeah. Because it was blowing a gale. And
but also
really,
as a goalkeeper, it just it'll start to swerve a little bit and it'll give a rebound, because it'll come with that. The pace sometimes surprises you, and then you'll drop a ball or it'll come off your chest, and so I get it, but they were just lacking accuracy because a fair few of the shots were over the bar.
What's the furthest out you've conceded from? Have you ever another keeper scored?
I conceded more or less from the halfway line against Wigan.
Figueroa?
No,
was it?
Figueroa from the free kick.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, was that you?
Conditions, windy conditions.
Yeah, it was unbelievably windy. I could no.
Actually, to be fair,
it was dead still. It was one of the few still days at Stoke, and he just caught me out.
He caught that beautifully. To be fair to you,
he did smartly as well.
Yeah, it was very clever. But yeah,
I still live on in folklore. So I'm still get showed every year, so that's great. Let's get on telly.
24-year-old Western United midfielder Angus Thurgate, 150 A-League appearances, youngest player ever to do that.
Okay.
Does he fly under the radar? I mean, he's flown under my radar. I'll consciously say.
He was at
my
Newcastle before,
apologies to
Yes,
Angus.
Newcastle, yeah. Wow, I mean, 24 and he's clocked up 150 appearances. It's really impressive. I think us to just sort of watch the A-League for so long, just think that he's been there since day dot, and we sometimes. Well, I forget. I didn't realise he was only 24 years old. I mean, he's a real workhorse. He does a lot of the dirty work, but then I do like that he tries to get forward and tries to score goals, which he has for Western United. But yeah, that's really impressive. I mean, I don't know. He is that type of player that does really go under the radar.
You must be you must be a professional as well, because it's all about availability as well on top, staying fit, and when you clock up that amount of games in that short of a time. So congratulations. I think it's a good achievement.
I feel like we've put him on the radar. Don't you?
This is what
he
we
won't be
need.
able to leave his house now.
This is what we need.
We've
to
ruined
do.
his life.
His social media will be blowing up.
Exactly.
And
then like all the kids, then he'll lose interest. Won't he? And actually, we've
be
ruined
too big for his boots.
Exactly right. His
maybe
career will be over.
That's
it. Oh God, it's so tricky, isn't it? What a responsibility we have. Big game of next week is probably Melbourne City hosting Auckland.
Yes.
Can we see the unbeaten run going?
I think it'd be a tight one. Melbourne City have conceded, but they look sharper up front. So I think it would be it'd be a very, very tight one, and it might come down to the great defending Hall and Paulson again to keeps the clean sheet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was thinking this weekend? I was thinking, wow, it's weird. I haven't heard anything about Juan Mata not getting any minutes, and then I noticed that Western Sydney Wanderers didn't play this.
So he didn't get any minutes.
He didn't get any minutes.
Let's talk about that.
Controversy. But they host Brisbane, so that'll be a good win for them. And then Perth v Newcastle, that'll be a good one, won't it? I'd love to see how they get on. That feels like enough for today, doesn't it? We're off to have just a massive scrap, because it's the only way the kids will learn.
Maybe we should have a talk. Maybe it's like,
I think so.
Talk,
Men don't talk about
instead of the scrap.
Men don't talk about their emotions enough. I think, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Archie.
Thanks for that.
Take it easy, guys. See you next week.